Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're going to reveal the 7 best hip hop and R&B plug-in instruments available today. So these plug-in instruments, I've gathered a list of plugins over time, and through experience, I know that these are the go-to sounds for me in particular to achieve the hip hop and R&B sound. So let's get started with the plug-in instruments. The first instrument is Kontakt 5, made by Native Instruments at native-instruments.com. I got the Complete 10 Ultimate bundle, which has a lot more than just Kontakt. It has plugins, it has effects, and everything else. So this is why you see so many libraries in my Kontakt. But this is where you're going to get live sounds, also known as organic sound. This is called a sampler, Kontakt 5. And in samplers, basically you sample real instruments and you're able to play them on your own controller. So this is what we have here. We have real instruments sampled. So you don't have to go to a studio just to record a piano or go to a studio just to record a shaker. You know, the small little things. It's all included in the Complete 10 with Kontakt. So again, you have different libraries from pianos to different drum synthesis to film drums, kinetic metal, which is like a metallic kind of sound design sampler. You have session horns, which has real horns and woodwinds and brass. You have the Kontakt Factory Library, which has kind of everything in one. Rise and Hit, great for transitions. You have Machine Drum Selection, drums from Machine. You have Evolve Mutations, which is like film score stuff. You have samples of bass guitar, samples of different instruments. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You know, piano samples, drum samples, real instruments, you know, real drum kits and real things from around the world. So that's why I love Kontakt. And the reason this is one of the best plugins for hip hop and R&B is because those genres have a lot of live instrumentation, you know, whether it's a live bass guitar or a live piano. You know, it has a lot of live instruments, and a lot of people are trying to synthesize their instruments, and there's no synthesizer which has real instrument sounds. You know, they're called samplers if it's, you know. But anyway, you can find pianos, again, all the type of real sounds. For example, you can play nice chords. Okay, so it sounds like a real piano. Now let's get into the second best hip hop and R&B instrument plugin, and this is going to be an e-piano. An e-piano stands for electronic piano, and this one's by Lounge Lizard, or this is Lounge Lizard 4 by AAS. Great e-piano. I mean, I've never heard anything better than this. I'm sure there are samples out there from different companies trying to emulate different e-pianos, but this company focuses on the e-piano in the Lounge Lizard, and it creates great sound, straightforward, it's easy to use. That's another one of the factors. The way I'm judging these is that I use it a lot, it's easy to use, and you get straight to the sound, you know? Those are the reasons we consider things the best. Yeah, I'm sure plugins can emulate, you know, sounds of a motorcycle, but if I don't know how to use the plugin to do that, it's pointless. But anyway, this is an easy plugin, gets straightforward. Somewhat of a sampler. It is a sampler, similar to Kontakt, but it uses e-piano samples. So I'm gonna play some chords. We're gonna get a taste of the Lounge Lizard. This is great for R&B, kind of switching up the mood from hard to soft in hip hop songs. That really soft e-piano. You could switch between different models, the Rhodes, the Wurlitzer has a bitier tone, that kind of 70s tone, and you have custom e-pianos. I mean, it's a great plugin. You can switch out different presets. They all have different characteristics, so it's a great plugin, especially for, again, R&B and adding that soft element to your hip-hop tracks. So let's move into a plugin which is great for leads and creating bass and that is a synthesizer called Sylenth 1. This is great for synthesizing leads and bass. And it can do a lot more than just those two, but this is where you would use it in your arsenal for the most part. So Sylenth, again, the reason why I picked this over different plugins, there's tons of synthesizers which are going to give you a slightly different sound each time. And if you want to see that proven, go to busyworksbeats.com/sound design. And what I do in one of the videos is make a trap lead in the multiple synthesizers, and each synth gives you a different sound. Even if we're trying to create the same exact sound, they all give you a different end sound. So it's about the workflow. It's about how you think through the plugin. And this is one of those plugins which is straightforward and gets straight to the point. Doesn't have a bunch of menus you have to go through to get a sound. So let's program a quick lead. It's going to use a bandpass filter on a saw. Okay, and you can do a lot more to it, add delay effects. It's synthesis. So you can get into sound design, which is a very broad field. But again, that's great for bass, for leads and also bass. So I could take that same saw, I could add a low pass filter, drop it down a couple octaves, and now we have a bass. It gives you a lot of versatility. So it's great for leads and bass sound design. Let's get on to the fourth best plugin for hip hop and R&B instrumentation, and that is the Moog bass emulation from Reaktor called Monarch. So I made the mistake and bought Monarch without having the Reaktor plugin from Native Instruments. You need the Reaktor plugin in order to work Monarch. Okay, so you need Reaktor in order to load up Monarch. Monarch's like an expansion to Reaktor, so think of it that way. So Monarch is a Moog emulation plugin. Moog is that bass that you're trying to create, but you just don't know how to create it. And this is a great plugin. It's straightforward. It gives you the Moog interface, and you might fall in love with the Moog sound. It's one of those. It's the DJ Mustard bass. It's the bass you hear, you just don't know it's. So let's play a couple. It's that kind of bass. Now what I'm going to do is shape a couple things to give you that DJ Mustard type of sound. Okay, so that's the Moog bass. Very versatile. You can make leads with it. You don't necessarily have to make bass, but it is one of those retro hardware synths that it's a classic. Okay, when you start to investigate hardware synths, you're going to realize it's the top of the line. So I'm not going to really build sounds out right now, but great plugin for leads and bass alike, but more for the bass in this particular list. So the fifth best plugin for hip hop and R&B instrumentation, this one is for organized sound. So I'm ranking these differently. The first one was for live instrumentation. Second one was for the e-piano. The third was for creating lead and bass. The fourth was for creating Moog style bass. And the fourth is for creating organized sound, and that is Nexus. The reason this is one of the best is because it's organized, and it's highly organized, and it gets straight to the point. It has themes throughout each folder, which gets to the sound you're looking for. So, if you go to an expansion, for example, and you go to the Hollywood Epic expansion and you click on some random brass trumpet solo, you're getting film score-esque sounds when you go into this folder. So it's going to help you get through a song. In each expansion, you can kind of pick the sounds within that folder to get you through a specific song. And that helps. Just having everything organized for you helps. Instead of trying to search for hours, trying to figure out which sound will work for this genre, it gets straight to the point. Again, deep house, it has deep house sounds. Deep house piano, I believe, in here somewhere. It just has that, whoops, wrong one. So you get the idea. It has organized sound. That's the reason why we ranked it the highest for the organized sound in hip hop and R&B. So I'm not going to go through all the folders. We have different videos on Nexus. You should go check it out, the 13 hacks of Nexus, on our YouTube page, youtube.com/busyworksbeats. So Nexus ranks high for the organized and themed sound. One of the best ones for trap, or one of the, not the best, but one of the most commonly used expansion for trap was the Dance Orchestra Pack, which I need to reinstall on this computer. Okay, so that's great for trap. Let's go to the plugin great for retro and random sounds. So Omnisphere 2 does a lot. You know, some people mix it up with a sampler, as in it's only a sampler, and some people mix it up as only a synth. It's actually both. It's a sampler and a synth. Sampler in the fact that it has sampled sounds in it. So by sampler, I'm talking about like live instruments like piano, strings, guitar, organs, you know, different things. It does have those samples of those live instruments, but it also does a lot of work with synthesis. So it's one of those plugins. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's called a power synth for a reason. It does a lot, so much that it's, you know, it's too much to cover in this video. But again, it has some live sounds. If you're looking for guitars, you can pull up a realistic sounding guitar. Okay, or you can pull up an organ. Now, the best part about Omnisphere, in my opinion, for hip hop and R&B is the retro sounds it gives you. I'm just going to pull up a random organ. Okay. Again, tons of sounds, over in the thousands of sounds. So many sounds, I can't even go through them all. But what you want to utilize here is the organization, your categories, types, genres, and the different tabs that they give you. And also the sound match feature helps you find presets which sound like other presets. So this is one of those plugins which is so advanced, it's hard to kind of narrow it into a genre. But what I liked it for is its random sounds. For example, if you go back to all. Now, when I got this plugin, I was super inspired by it. So inspired by it that I created some of the greatest tracks back in the day when I first got it. And you need to find plugins which inspire you. That's another thing. The plugin can do a lot, but if you're not inspired by it, if you're not going to actually use the functionalities to actually create the sound you want, it's pointless. You know, you can have a plugin which can create, again, like I said, motorcycle sounds, but if you don't know how to do it, or if you're not inspired to do it, the plugin's pointless in your arsenal. But this is one of those plugins that brought instant inspiration for me, particularly for this list of the top 7 plugins for the hip hop and R&B instrumentation. So for example, in Omnisphere, you can hit shuffle, and that will randomly kind of switch it up, switch the presets up. So you can click on random stuff and just test it out. I found this very cool because you're discovering a new sound every time. I just fell in love with that sound because it's so retro. You know, Omnisphere pulls back those sounds that you just kind of forgot about in the 80s, the 90s, and the 70s, puts them into one place. And, you know, it has so many different facets to it. For example, samples. You can search samples from different, you know, let me see if I can find it here. From different, what's the word I'm looking for? Synthesizers. So you have here under analog tones, you have different synths like the Moogs, the Oberheim, the Prophet, the Roland Junos. So many old things that are hard to find. And Omnisphere pulled those all together. So not only do you have retro, not only do you have film score stuff, not only do you have real sounds, not only do you have modern synth sounds, it kind of does everything. But what I wouldn't categorize it as is like something like Contact. It's not like a hypersonic where it's like, you know, list of guitars and it gives you tons of guitars. A list of pianos, it gives you tons of pianos. It's not one of those type of samplers, if that makes sense. But anyway, not sure if they have a demo, but if they do, definitely try it out. Again, this is best for retro and random sounds in this list. I mean, you're talking about random stuff that can inspire you. So many sounds. It's incredible. So let's move on to the 7th and last best plug-in instrument for hip hop and R&B, And this one's for film sound. And you probably guessed it already, but it's East West. Now I'm going to demo the Hollywood expansions. Now they have something on their site called Composer Cloud, which gives you access to their different libraries. You can download the libraries you want to use and use them monthly on a monthly subscription. And I have many videos where I used Composer Cloud. I'm going to go through one of the libraries I actually bought, which is the East West Hollywood Orchestra Diamond. I'm not sure the edition, but the highest, Diamond. And it came with the strings, the woodwinds, the percussion, and the brass for the Hollywood sounds. So these are film score sounds, and you can load them up. And these are the sounds that you hear, but you just don't know where they're coming from. For example, in the Hollywood brass, the low brass, the short staccato, this is used in so many trap songs. But nobody knew where the brass sample was coming from. They thought it came from a Kontakt library. It actually comes from the East West. Okay, that's highly secret. You know, it took me many years to actually find out, oh, this is where it came from the whole time. Because we all are looking for that one Kontakt library that has it all. But again, each plugin has its advantage, okay? So this East West, to kind of categorize it, I would say this is the brand that gives you the film sound and the exotic sound. And by exotic, I'm talking about those exotic articulations. Like, for example, they give you a different articulation for a violin section. You know, a different timbre. Give you that kind of opposite sound. It's hard to describe unless you use it a lot. But let's go to full strings. And they have a lot of articulations. Let's just go to tremolo for now. And as this loads up, I think I loaded it up. Okay, as this loads up, you know, we can look through the different libraries. They give you different culture libraries like East West Silk, which I believe is the Chinese sounds. East West Ra, which is percussion from around the world. You know, East West Pianos. We're talking about some of the best piano sounds. You know, you really got to go through and find what inspires you at soundsonline.com. That's where you can find a lot of the East West stuff. It's just a different type of real sound. So, you know, when you get into samplers and really kind of compare the sounds, it just has a different sound than Kontakt, for example. They're just two different timbres, two different ways of recording. It's just two different worlds. So this would be like a secondary sample powerhouse, as well as a film sound powerhouse, an exotic timbre, an exotic sound, and exotic articulation powerhouse. So really look at these websites. We'll leave them all below. And just discover for yourself what inspires you. You know, I have so many questions coming in, you know, what's the best plugin for this? What's the best plugin for that? And they're mostly synthesizer questions. All the synthesizers can pretty much do the same exact thing for the most part. They all have their advantages. They all have different things about them, but you have to find the one which inspires you the most. Because even if you have the best tool in front of you, you know, if you had a Ferrari in front of you or a Bugatti in front of you, and somebody challenged you to a race on a racetrack and you didn't know how to race, it's pointless. And you don't know how to shift gears. You don't know how to handle a stick shift. It's pointless in having that great car if you don't know how to use it. So quote unquote best is what you perceive as best. So this is the top 7 plugins I perceive as best based on my experience. You know, again, some of the criteria were, is it a go-to plugin? Is it easy to use? Is the sound quality up to date? You know, is it reliable? Is it compatible? There's a lot of things that went into this list. So thank you for watching today for the 7 best plugins for hip hop and R&B. Please like the video and please let me know which plugins you found as the best for you. I'd really like to know which plugins you like the most. Thanks for watching today. It's busyworksbeats.com.